is, I don't care if we talk about this here. My thing is
I don't think we
like,
should.
he goes, you worked hard to get to where you are. That means before you got to there, you weren't credentialed. So you are the people that you're talking. Like it's completely backwards, and it's just like it was gross. It was
Condescending,
really gross. Yeah,
gatekeeping. I had no
exactly.
idea what was happening, and then I saw Nikias had put out a tweet, and then Adam, I think, a quote
JJ
tweeted
Redick
it.
responded to it. Like they're getting blasted, and he's like backed it up too. Like in all the responses, he's like, "I back what I said." I'm like,
He's quadrupled down on being the massive tool that he is.
yeah, I
I
don't know
think
if
you
this
kind
is
of
the
have
hill you
to.
want to die on.
If you get
Well-
yourself in deep like that, you might as well just lean into it. Like, just be a
He's gonna get
dick.
fired.
No,
He's gonna get
seriously.
fired.
He's gonna
Well,
lose that
he get
show
fired because he's on a network. He's on a podcast network.
exactly. So, like, why would you
A
say
big
something like that,
podcast
man?
Yeah.
network, like the podcast network for sports. He's
He crept on Blue Wire too. Welcome the 3
he
viewers
did.
that we have so far.
He did. He did.
Talking
Going
about
on,
the
Evan?
Locked
Welcome.
On Warriors
hello.
aftermath.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
If you haven't heard about it, you probably have by now. But yeah,
I mean, yeah.
just go on Twitter and search Locked On Warriors, and you'll find what we're talking about. But we are here to talk Celtics Heat, not NBA media drama. But I'm happy to be back because I missed the season opener, but we're back in action, ready to talk basketball again. And I mean, I guess we can start with Celtics 76ers. I don't really think you could have asked for much more from Boston in that one. They looked great. Hello, landed. Welcome in. Got off to a bit of a hot start, actually, I should say. Then they slowed down a little, and then after the Joel Embiid, Marcus Smart fight, they kind of picked things back up, which is what you want to see from them there. So, I mean, I was very happy with opening night. They got the dub. Sam predicted an L, so I was happy he was wrong.
Happy to be wrong.
Got it
I
done.
truly am. I had a bad feeling, and I'm gonna tell you why. If you didn't listen to the podcast, which you should, shame on you. Celtics traditionally, at least this group, have been really, really bad when any special event is happening. Paul Pierce gets his jersey retired. They get crapped on by the Cavs. Kevin Garnett gets his jersey retired. Team fumbles the bag, doesn't win the game. They end up losing. Game 6 of the conference finals, I keep kind of circling back to because realistically, it could have just been a celebration for 48 minutes and they lost. And then it was Bill Russell night. So what am I thinking? This team's coming off a finals run. Oh, yes. Look at that. Landon loves to listen. Thank you.
Well, at
Almost
least he
never
listens.
wrong.
That's good.
The
I don't know if
almost-
I agree.
I
with
don't
the
know if
second
that
half
was
of
needed, then almost, but we'll take it. But seriously,
Well, the almost is for when you shit on jelly donuts, because that is objectively wrong.
I
Yeah,
thought you
I
were
saw
gonna
that
say stop
tweet.
signs.
What's the backstory to that?
We got
So-
on like a 10-minute
ahead.
fight on a podcast episode because I
which is
like
an
jelly donuts.
excellent segment.
It's good.
If
That's a
you
good
have not
podcast
listened,
plug
go
right
find
there.
it.
Well,
It's fantastic.
basically, I said one of my go-to donuts is jelly donut, and Sam said that is the donut people leave in the box, and we got into a fight over.
It's
whether or not
true.
jelly donuts are good.
No,
No,
people leave the old-fashioned donut in there.
that's what I said.
I'm gonna
She
also
said
say
he'd
I'm a
eat one
sicko,
over
and
jelly.
I order now that I am like trying to like eat healthy but still want donuts. I will get an old-fashioned donut sometimes.
No,
I like French
yeah.
crullers, but the place that's near me that I go to, Top Donut, they don't have French crullers anymore, and it breaks my heart.
You don't
This-
just go to
okay.
Dunkin'.
This is what Landon is referencing.
Hey, listen, I'm
you're-
big
Oh,
on
God,
the
the
gas pedal. I don't
stop
know.
sign.
I don't know what you want to mean.
Stop
You know
sign
what's funny is my
conundrum.
city actually recently condensed a road to. It's usually 2 lanes. It's only 1 now,
Yeah.
and I cannot believe this. This is an absolute travesty. If you ever seen Seinfeld, it's like when Kramer adopts the highway and he wants to make first class driving, so he expands the lanes. That's what Warwick has done. We'll see. We'll see how it goes during a commute. All right, back to the Celtics. Back to my point.
Yes.
I did not think they would perform well under pressure in the spotlight of Bill Russell night after coming off a finals win. It just felt like a big letdown spot to me. And,
Mhm.
I'm glad to be wrong. Couldn't be happier. Excellent showing from everybody involved. Tatum and Brown, 35 apiece. Vonleh off the bench gave them exactly what they needed with a paper-thin rotation. Brogdon, you name it, Smart was good, Grant Williams, all those guys just showed out, hoping they can keep it going today in Miami.
I thought it was interesting with the big rotations that you saw Noah Vonleh be the first big off the bench.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty awesome. Mainly
That's
because
dope.
Is he going to face a tougher test in these first few games than like game one? Like, hey, we're going to give you 20 minutes and you have to guard Joel Embiid. Good luck. And he at first he looked rough, but then he adjusted and he started to get a little bit more comfortable. His passing was pretty good. I mean, considering you're talking about a guy who was playing in China, like last season,
Yeah.
at least part of it, like that's massive. And that's an awesome story too. This is a guy from Haverhill. I'm a sucker for like the hometown kid coming home and playing for the local team. I love that
Me
Talking to
stuff.
Sam.
So,
Talking
I'm
to
the king
Sam.
of that. On the pod, I'm always
I
like,
love
please
it.
sign somebody from around here.
I love it. I still was rooting for Bruce Brown to get here in free agency, but that
Yeah,
I
dude
agree.
That was
that dude got the bag,
OG
though.
Sam,
Good for him.
please come here. That was what I was doing.
But yeah, I thought Vonleh was good considering that Al Horford got into foul trouble after some really rough calls that
Yep.
first quarter. So that was kind of tough. But you saw Joe Mazzulla make some adjustments there, and Horford as well as Joe Mazzulla like really brought the team in and said like, hey, don't let this stuff like phase you, including that whole scuffle between, I'll call it a scuffle with quotes, Joel Embiid and Marcus Smart, all of that crap. I mean, they reeled him in and they didn't let him lose focus. And this was a game that I thought they finished out really strong. And the final score was a whole lot closer than what that game felt like.
I agree. I mean, I thought they played great. Like I said, I thought you saw a lot of good things from Vonleh, like Tim mentioned. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon was exactly what you paid for. He was absolutely phenomenal off the bench for the Celtics. Excuse me. Looking at some of the comments, Sam, I'll let you take this.
Oh, I said yes. Yes, I
Okay,
am.
good. You haven't lived in Salem in October then? What was this in reference to? To the to
Traffic.
local?
It's a
Oh,
madhouse.
traffic, okay.
I have friends who
Okay.
live in Salem. Don't ever go to Salem in
Gotcha.
October. It's a nightmare. The locals hate it. There's no parking. It's a mess. It's literally a mess. Like, it's
You ever
so
see
terrible.
Hubie Halloween? Shout out to Phrase on
Oh,
Twitter.
God. He loves Phrase Ramon.
He's fantastic.
Sam
dude.
loves Fraser.
We've efforted him multiple times. We'll get him on the show.
We'll get him
One day.
eventually.
One day.
But yeah, I think the Celtics look great. Like I said, not much more you could have asked from him outside of maybe a better start. Sweaty, he's feeling it. I'll start here, then I'll get to what Jack said. Oh, Sam beat me to it. I want to see a little more Peyton Pritchard. I worry that that's not going to be not necessarily possible, but with how many guards in the rotation, I think you really got to feel for how little opportunities Pritchard could end up getting. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, we talked about this Wednesday. I think if we're going to see more of somebody, it's to be Hauser, because this matchup kind of calls for it more than Philly did. You really didn't want Hauser to have to be out there and risk getting switched on to Embiid. It just wasn't going to work in your favor. Now, if he's playing against Miami, they don't have a real dominant force inside. Bam's a fantastic player, an all-star, but he's not Embiid the way he can just dominate, bully, move people out of the way. Bam doesn't play like that. He plays differently. So Hauser being in there is more of a favorable, or maybe not favorable, but serviceable matchup for the Celtics tonight, where he's less apt to get exposed and knock down some threes.
Yeah, I tend to think along the same lines. Pritchard is the unfortunate like sacrifice in the situation. Like, he's just in a bad situation where they went out and they traded for Malcolm Brogdon, who let's call it like we see it. Like, he could start for so many teams in this league. Most of the league would love to have him on their team, let alone as a sixth man. So that's a luxury that Celtics have right now, being able to have Derek White out in the starting lineup and then go to Brogdon. There's three guards that all can play the one and all are going to get minutes over Pritchard. It's not Pritchard's fault, but like, he's going to be, I think Jack talks about a little bit, changing lineups by matchups. He's going to be a victim of matchups, I think, more than anything else, because he's undersized. Of those guards, he's significantly less qualified as a defender. And if that three ball's not there, it makes it really, really hard to justify giving him minutes. I do want to see more minutes from him, but like Sam said, I think you go with Hauser because of the size there. And I think just because it's not like Hauser's a fantastic defender either, but it gives you a better chance of keeping a standard lineup out there. He's got size, so that, you know, that's the main thing that holds Pritchard back. It's always going to come down to size.
Sorry, I'm testing a different background. I want to get the social handles, and I want to leave a space so when you put the chat up, you can still see the logo. I'm trying to figure it out. We can't hear you, Sam. You're muted again.
All right. Well, good. I wasn't talking over you.
Good. Yeah.
You guys like
No.
that? You like the mime? You search me on YouTube, you see me do the same thing on TV.
Yeah. Trying
Talk
to
while
figure it out.
muted.
Oh, well, we don't want no background. Anyways, I'll stop messing with it for now. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for Pritchard. Maybe against Miami because it's smaller. Birkin saying Pritchard's going to be needed because it's a long season. And I agree with this because Brogdon and Smart are going to miss games. And that's probably when you'll see some Pritchard, which is good. But as far as jacking goes, I think Joe talked about it, Joe Mazzulla, before the game today, at least in regard to Noah Vonleh, that it was a perfect storm of, him being prepared and earning the trust of the team and the matchup against Philly. Because against a big like Embiid, obviously Vonleh is not going to be perfect, but he's one of the bigger, stronger guys you have on the team to throw at Joel Embiid. I mean, he did a better job than Ennis Freedom did last year, so it's a big plus there. And you'd probably like him against Embiid more than Blake Griffin or Lou Cornette, sorry. Now, tonight against Miami, my guess is probably you see a little more Blake Griffin because you got bigs like Bam Adebayo who can move a little bit. You got Dwayne Dedmon, who is definitely a little more stationary, but he's not as big of a focal point as Joel Embiid. So you'll probably see a little more Blake. Maybe Cornette, but honestly, I don't know about you guys. It feels like Cornette's kind of lost his spot to Vonleh and Blake at this point, which is tough.
But, yeah, I mean, Vonleh was really good against Philly. He did everything they needed him to do. Did look lost on offense at times. He just kind of looked like he was in the way, running around out there doing his best. But defensively, again, did his best. He's built for it. He's big enough. So when they need somebody to come in and hold their own against bigs like Embiid or maybe Jokic, they will have somebody. Interested to see later in the season how he'd fare against Giannis too. But as far as Cornette's concerned, it doesn't feel like he has much of a spot in the rotation here, right? Because they did bring in Blake Griffin, who didn't like score or anything crazy, but he did come in and rip off like 2 offensive rebounds in a row. Would have had a third if the shot clock didn't expire. He gave him a good effort. People seem to like him. He's good on the bench, good fit on the team, whether he's playing or not. So who knows? Maybe Cornette will get in there, but it'll probably take some more injuries. And when Rob comes back, definitely not.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the issue that I see with Cornette was just he just got injured at the wrong time. Vonleh had a really solid preseason and wrapped it up on a good note with that double-double against Charlotte. So I think at the time they needed someone who could just shore up that depth. And you don't want to – I was never a fan of putting all your eggs in the Cornette's basket because you're expecting this guy to come in and play significant minutes. And I like him, but like I never felt comfortable giving him a chunk of minutes. And so I'm fine with them going ahead and bringing on Vonleh. I also like the Blake Griffin signing. So I really, based on the health of this unit, I'm okay with them taking as many, 4s and 5s or combos that they can at that position because you're going to need them between Horford aging and obviously you want to try and manage Rob's workload too so he can be healthy in the playoffs. And I agree with what Birkin said too. To echo that sentiment, there's probably going to come some time where you need to throw him in there. I wouldn't be surprised on this back-to-back if you saw him get some minutes against Orlando. And who knows? Maybe we'll see what happens tonight. I just don't think it's a favorable matchup for him, but you never know. I mean, Miami's got a couple of guys who are not great defensively, so maybe you do see Pritchard get out there, but who knows?
A good point, too. With Horford, you could definitely see him getting some rest on the back-to-back, so Cornette will maybe get a role.
Mm-hmm. Although Joe still did say he's planning on having Horford for both of those games, so that's interesting.
Really? Oh, there I go, just talking.
But, no, I agree. I think it could definitely change. But Rob is back before Christmas. Book it. I say early December. I'd rather not, honestly. With how good the Celtics looked against a top team like Philly, and with how they've handled Rob's injuries in the past, I'd rather him take as much time he needs to be fully healthy for the playoffs. I don't think they should rush him at all. As far as Miami goes, Miami lost to Chicago on opening night.
Without Levine.
Without Levine.
Levine and I both battling left knee soreness.
In their defense, DeMar DeRozan had a bomb, which we'll see if he can continue to do that this season. But the Heat look worse than last year. I'm not going to go as far as saying they're a play-in team because I think that's a little bit of blasphemy. I have seen some of those that takes rolling.
We kind of say that every year, though. Like we're like,
I know.
Are they really good? Are they really good? And then,
which is why I'm not saying it. I'm just saying they're worse than last year. I have them pegged as my 4 seed, I think, in the East when it's all said and done, which is still top. But Evan saying, what do you think of Grant not getting re-signed?
Not thrilled.
Not thrilled, but it kind of makes sense. I kind of think a little bit was Grant betting on himself, which makes sense. But it sucks. You guys know I'm a big Grant guy.
Of course. And it was a fun night for you on Tuesday because he was excellent. 5 for 5, 3 of 3 from 3, created 2 of those
quietest 15 points you've ever seen in your life.
He hit one where he pump fake, stepped to the side, guy fell down, no one talked about it, and he made it. And then he made one to beat the buzzer in the second half, which was another impressive shot. He's creating off the drive now. He's not letting defenders heavily close out on him because he's shown he can create for himself if he has to off the dribble, whether it is just stepping back to the side or getting to the basket and doing a reverse like we saw in the first half. He looked like a more developed offensive player. And again, defensively, he was fine, got into foul trouble, not necessarily what you wanted to see, but Embiid isn't the best matchup for him either.
Yeah, and I think all things considered, having Grant not be signed long-term obviously does suck, but at the same time, it's going to keep him motivated throughout this year. And I think we are all kind of in agreement. You sort of give him whatever he wants at the end of the day. And I think the Celtics are just trying to see what that market's going to be for him. Again, we talked numbers, probably somewhere between like 14 to 18, I think is reasonable. I think 18 is probably the most I would want to pay him, but I think it's what's going to happen. What is Liam saying?
Oh, Liam. That's my buddy. Do we think Adado has a crazy game without Rob? I think he could. I think Al will have him. I don't want to say locked, but I think he'll be fine handling him. I don't know. The Heat, like we always say, like they're a good team. I think they're top 4, but none of their weapons, at least in the regular season, scare me. Right?
No, they don't strike fear into the heart.
But I say that knowing that they are fully capable of killing a team. Right, like I say that with the knowledge that it's ignorant, but like that's just how you feel when you play the Heat. And then
the
Jimmy Butler drops 30.
The response I have to Liam is, at least in the playoffs last season, Bam played significantly worse when Rob was out there. It was much more difficult for him. He had a monster game, and I believe the one game Rob didn't play in. So take that for what it's worth. Could be a small sample size. Rob was still on a bum knee, and he still did well against him. We'll see. I just know Bam killed him in the bubble when they didn't have Al. So there's 2 ends to that sword.
And what, Jack, like I have to ask this because I think my thought process is I don't think Miami definitely didn't get better. But what's your thought process behind them getting worse? Because I think it's just aging. Like their 2 biggest... Tucker. Yeah, PJ Tucker. That's a fair one. I just think aging because that Kyle Lowry contract is looking very rough right now.
Yeah,
as expected.
I just think PJ Tucker's the big one for me because they've got to mess around at that 4 spot. I think Caleb Martin's a fine replacement. I do think taking Tyler Hero and putting him in the starting lineup hurts them a little bit, not because Tyler Hero is bad, but because I think. And it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because you'll rotate regardless. But having Max Strus and Duncan Robinson come off the bench is a bit one-dimensional. That could be an issue. But I just think the PJ Tucker is the big one for me. Their defense got worse with that. The age thing is definitely a factor. But at the same time, Adebayo and Hero are still progressing and getting better. So you don't know. They also, I don't know if it changed, but I know Oladipo and Yurtseven were out for game 1. Same as today. No Victor Oladipo, no Omer Yurtseven. So Celtics won't have to deal with those 2. So the rotation will probably look something like Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Caleb Martin, Bam Adebayo. And off the bench, they'll probably have Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, Nikola Jovic, and Dwayne Dedmon. I'm gonna look at their box score from the first game to see who they played because they do have some other guys like Jamal Cain and Haywood Highsmith, more of those undrafted guys that they bring up and end up turning into real players. I see Sam laughing probably because he's never heard of them.
No, but, I'm not. You'll know why I'm laughing in a minute.
Oh no, why? Is there a tweet?
No, it's nothing about that. When I give our pick tonight.
Oh no!
I've just received our pick.
Okay.
Oh no!
Stay tuned.
Our pick for what? Like who's gonna win? Is that
No, not
pick?
so. My buddy runs a betting page. So last time I plugged it and gave a pick because the people love the picks.
Of course. Miami's rotation against Chicago was the starting five. I said Lowry, Hero, Adebayo, Butler, Martin, and then they ran Max Strus off the bench. They ran Gabe Vincent, Dwayne Dedmon, Duncan Robinson. So that was their thing. No minutes for Jovic, Haywood, Highsmith, or no Haslam. Haslam didn't even get any minutes either, so that's a shock. But yeah, you're muted, Tim.
No, you're muted on
Muted on
StreamYard.
Are you being cheeky
Too
right
many
now?
mutes.
Yeah, of course.
All right, Jack, you got to get one before the end of the show. We both
All right,
did it.
everyone gets one.
Oh yeah, I'm muted. Okay, I'll do a muted moment.
Don't do it like intentionally. Just let it happen accidentally.
We'll see.
Lose yourself in the moment.
Do you want to do your pick now, Sam, or do you want to do it at the end?
We'll save it. Stay tuned. Stick around. Listen to us talk for a couple more minutes.
All right. I mean, we can touch on some things around the league, I guess, briefly, because I don't really have any more specific things to talk about.
How about them Lakers? Yeah.
Yes, let's go. They looked better against
How about
the
them
Clippers.
Sixers? Yeah.
You know,
they're both the
only 2 0-2 teams in the NBA.
Yes.
Rough.
I mean,
What
who
a
doesn't
thing.
love that? I do. I certainly do, especially the Lakers. People tried saying they'd be back. Oh, how wrong you
Who
could
said
be.
that?
Pat Bev.
Oh.
Okay, well then.
Well, he asked to say it. What's he supposed to say?
He was ready. He said they're going to make the playoffs. LeBron just came out and ripped guys after game 1. Good look for them. Classic LeBron, right? He just loves it. You don't want to be around a bus with LeBron. He'll throw you right under it. It's dangerous.
Quote from LeBron today said, he said that we're going to have multiple games where he said, we're going to have a game where we hit multiple threes. A quote. We're going to have a game where we hit multiple threes. And
have they not?
They have, which is why it's a weird quote, but that should tell you how bad their 3-point shooting is.
He's not even like giving a solid number. He's just saying like multiple. Like we will hit a sum of threes. We will hit a plethora. Some number.
They shot
that's more
9
than
of
1.
45 last night on threes against the Clippers, and opening night against the Warriors, they shot 10 of 40. So they're shooting 19 of 95 of 85 from 3. That is 22% so far through 2 games.
I will acknowledge this though. Those are like 2 very tough matchups out of the gate for a Lakers team that has like 0 floor spacing. Like that sucks. I feel the slightest, just like the tiniest bit of pity, because I guarantee you there was a lot of Lakers fans who did not want Russell Westbrook, and they probably wanted that, that Healed and Turner deal. That would have been a fantastic deal for them. And the fact is like, I still don't understand why they didn't do it. I just don't get it, because it would have helped them so much more, and they probably wouldn't have had to give up as much.
I will say, when your 3-point breakdown is Lonnie Walker attempting 9 threes, LeBron attempting 8, Pat Bev attempting 6, and Westbrook attempting 6, it's probably not going to work out too well for you.
You're going to have a bad time.
Not ideal. And Matt Ryan got 2, in case you're wondering. The 3-point sharpshooter Matt Ryan got 2 attempts off the bench. Shout out Matt Ryan, though. I'm rooting for him. I know he's a Laker, but I like Matt. I know
you put those colors on. I have to root against you. Them's the rules.
I like Matt Ryan, though.
Haslam catching a beating in the chat today. How about that, though? All off season, keeping the people hanging. I mean, how do you think the Heat felt? They could have potentially lost one of their most important pieces. Won't he retire? I mean, they could have been screwed this season if he said, I'm hanging it up. What were they going to do?
Now, I'll ask you this, though. We make fun of Haslam and whatever. Fair enough.
Oh, good for him. He's been on the same team for like 20 years.
Yeah. Would you accept Horford in that role is my question to you.
Yeah, I don't care. As long as they're not paying him.
They're paying Haslam.
Well, I think Sam means paying him a big
spot.
contract. Would you take him for a minimum is what I'm saying, Sam.
Yeah, I don't care. Let him sit there.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think he would sit there, but like not right away at least. He would get
No. I'm just saying
minutes,
in the future.
I don't know. I think they would just like pay him to be an assistant coach.
Yeah, that seems more like.
I don't know why they don't do that with Haslam unless they're just trying to pass the record of like longest time with a single franchise. And I think that's what they're going for.
I think maybe. I also think there's something to be said about having a player like to player dynamic versus a player to coach dynamic. Even though he'd act as a player, as a coach, I think having him on the roster as a player, it makes it a little different. So, I mean, I have no problem with Haslam. The jokes are all fine and funny, but I don't really have a problem with it. Although they could have, I was gonna say they could have used that spot for an extra depth at forward, but even then, like who's on the market that would be worth it?
I
Like,
mean, there are worse people.
Yeah.
There are worse guys that you could like be like championing around as your like mascot, right?
I agree. I have no problem with Haslam. I think it's fine. But anything else around the league that's intriguing you? I mean, the Pelicans is the team that I'm looking at. They look
How about
good.
that? Ben Simmons, you got to crap on him. Sam just goes around giving out his jabs, right? So Ben Simmons, the defensive juggernaut, 13 minutes, fouls out, right? Good for him. Zion, who has lost all the weight. I eat crow on that one.
There
Egg
you
on
go.
my
I
face.
told you.
Egg on my face. I said he could not come back from being fat. I'm wrong. He's not fat. He's not chiseled. Very handsome.
Another. Yeah, I had a couple hot takes this week on my podcast and on Twitter. I'll just say them here and get your reactions because I'm curious. One is I think Russell Westbrook could still play at an all-star level in the right situation. However, I think there's only one I think there's only one situation in the league right now where he could do that, and that's with the Wizards. Because the Wizards don't have a starting point guard. They have Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis. They have other weapons. I think if you put Westbrook back on the Wizards, ironically enough, he could get back to being an all-star and lead them to a play-in spot, which I think they're going to get anyways, for what it's worth. I think they're the 10th seed this year. That's my hot take.
This may expose myself. Who starts for the Pelicans at point? Is it McCollum? They have McCollum doing it?
McCollum, okay. Ingram, Herb Jones, Zion, Valanciunas.
If he decided he wanted to play the right way, he could start there and be okay.
Yeah, he could be all right.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem that he has in LA is that you're going to a team that has LeBron James, who requires the ball to be in his hands to be effective. That was like my biggest complaint when they made the move in the first place. Is like you're just going for a name, you're just going to like play with your buddies, but your play styles don't complement each other at all, and you gave up all of your 3-point shooting to go ahead and get them, and it just doesn't make sense. I just wonder if he gets bought out wherever he goes. I imagine that he would. I'm surprised that the Lakers aren't trying to figure something out there just to get off the contract, because yikes, guys. Yikes.
I agree. My other hot take is that Colin Sexton and Donovan Mitchell are not that far off. And they're certainly not Lauri Markkanen, Ochai Agbaji, and 3 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps off in value. I think that was a gross overpay for Donovan Mitchell for the Cavs. And no one's going to notice it because they were so good without the Cavs, without Sexton last year, that they're going to be better this year with Mitchell because they didn't have a player like that. And now they will. But we're talking about 2 6'1" guards who are primary scorers, ball dominant scorers who don't play defense. They're the same exact player. It's just one was on a Utah Jazz team with a bunch of contending pieces, and one was on a Cavs team where he got shit on. Like that, like if you put Colin Sexton on those Jazz teams where Donovan Mitchell was, maybe they have slightly less regular season success, but they have virtually the same. Like that Jazz era with Mitchell and Gobert pans out, I think, almost exactly the same in terms of how we remember it with Colin Sexton instead of Donovan Mitchell. That's my hot take.
I think it was back a little bit on that. I'll put back a little bit on it, just because I think Mitchell had a great deal of success in Utah, and definitely like the overall core there and the build around that was good. But in terms of like their prototypes, their builds, how they play, they're extremely similar. We'll have to see. I mean, there could be a whole other gear to Mitchell's game that we just haven't seen because he's been stuck in basketball purgatory for the past X amount of years.
You mean Sexton?
No,
I'm James or Mitchell. Okay.
I'm talking Mitchell. I guess you could say it for the both, but I don't really think that moving from Cleveland to Utah is that much of an upgrade right now, considering that Utah is in full rebuild.
I agree, except they smacked the Nuggets on their opening night. And the reason I brought this up, I said this when the trade happened, but the reason I brought it up is because I'll stream it for you. I watched this Colin Sexton play and thought to myself, this is literally just Donovan Mitchell playing. Like this move is just Donovan Mitchell, except it's Colin Sexton instead. Here, let me share a screen here. Can you see this video? Let me know when it pops up.
Yep, it's there.
Tell me this isn't like work. Watch the dribbling. Watch the finish. Like that's just Donovan Mitchell in a Jazz uniform, except it's Colin Sexton. I don't know. That's what sparked it again. I just think, yes, Donovan Mitchell is a better player, but for what they paid to get him, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think you just have to hope that he elevates you more than what you thought you could get out of a Colin Sexton situation there.
I agree.
And it could just come down to fit too, like chemistry wise. Maybe just Sexton wasn't just meshing with guys, and Mitchell will. So who knows?
I agree. Anyways, I just thought that would be a fun.
We need Sam's pick.
All right, here we go. Now, here we go. Oh no, I have been one up in the chat.
Nope.
Jack steaming.
He
hates this.
I didn't even see it.
To distract from that, I will send the picks in the chat. I will put them on the screen.
Remember when
picks
I
of the night presented by Smash the Odds at Smash Odds on Twitter. These first two are not my picks. These are his. He says Miami money line. Bam. Over 15.5 points. My pick, Detroit +7. Love those boys out there. Want to know. Here it is.
My pick, Pelicans -7.5.
Against
Hornets.
That's not bad.
No, I
also saw Toronto is dogs against Brooklyn. So keep your eyes on that one too.
Chicago, the Bulls are dogs against Washington too.
Really?
Yeah, because of No Levine, and the Grizzlies, because Jaren Jackson is out, are -7 against the Rockets.
Grizzlies screwed me the other day, man.
Really? Close game, gotcha.
Close game, man. I had -4. They won by 3.
Brutal scenes. Oh, it's an ESPN game.
Cavs had me the other day. I had the Cavs. They lost. I had a rough night on Tuesday.
We got a national televised game tonight, fellas.
Ema's bots in the chat. But make sure you follow Smash the Odds. If you're looking for picks for college game day, you can pay for a day's worth of picks. You do not have to buy the monthly membership. More information on their Twitter.
Yes, sir. Sam, it's an ESPN broadcast tonight. How do you feel?
Not thrilled. I hope. Let's see. This is the true Clash of the Titans. You've already had TNT lay down the law this week. You have seen them come out and stumble out the gate with poor audio. Can ESPN outdo them? Does ESPN have a clean night? I say yes. I think.
Do we want to guess the announcers? Because I have it here.
I saw it. It's
I assume Doris is one of them, right?
Jesus, it's not. No? It's who is it? Russello. Oh, Jesus.
Ryan Ruocco.
Oh, Jesus.
And our man Jeff Van Gundy, because Van Gundy wasn't enough.
I like that they can have Van Gundy, but they don't have Breen. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is the price you pay for your team being good. You have to listen to all these.
I want Mike Breen.
Terrible commentators call games.
Van Gundy's the best I can do. Sorry.
Doris is on the West Coast game. So
what's the West Coast game?
Nuggets Warriors later.
Ooh,
excited for that.
That's a good game. Okay.
Some good games tonight, and it's not till 7:45 tip off, so we have a little bit of time here. But excuse me. Some good games tonight. Toronto Brooklyn's a fun one. I like that. I know Sam loves his Pistons, so that'll be on as well.
Yes, sir. Should have taken the over on wins before the season. That team, they might do something. They might be good. Not good, but good enough.
I agree. Heat come on the floor to 10% of a crowd. Looks like
all right.
Love it. They're all at the bars, baby. Very funny. Very funny. I got nothing else though. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to talk about before we get going.
No, I'm good. I gotta find something to eat. I gotta get in front of the TV.
Love to see it. Tim, anything?
On Tuesday, I was late.
I got nothing. You got it back to back.
You were late. Yes, sir. Back tomorrow as well.
Back,
anyways,
yes.
Oh boy.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Check out the How About Them Celtics podcast on all streaming platforms and the YouTube channel. If you're watching there, we appreciate it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on How About Them Celtics podcast YouTube channel. And if you're not on there, I'm going to go check. I think we're at like 119 subscribers right now. One
Up
of
and
you
up
I
and up
know,
and up and up.
one of you guys isn't subscribed to the How About Them Celtics podcast on YouTube. So I'm going to check after this and we're going to see if we hit 120. So I'll appreciate you guys a bunch. If you're on TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter, we also post clips there at How About Them C's. Check us out there. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
Have the people been more kind on TikTok?
They have been.
All
They
right.
have been. They've been liking the
Okay.
posts instead of slewing you. So that's good progress. But yeah, thank you
Baby
guys
steps.
for tuning in. Exactly. We are here 30 minutes before every Celtics games, whether or not it is nationally televised or with the good old guys at NBC Sports Boston. Hopefully, we'll be back on track with some less nationally televised. So the Celtics
Should we start doing halftime again?
We could, if you
You
guys
like
are
that?
around.
If I leave
could.
this, I can come up. I used to like that in past. I think our shows at halftime are really good because I'd always just come in hot.
It was good for the playoffs. I don't know how sustainable it would be for the entire
That's
regular
true.
Yeah.
season.
We
We can
pick
figure
and
it
choose
out.
the games.
Yeah, we can pick and choose games if the demand is there, maybe. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. This has been the Banner Time Build-Up. Check us all out on Twitter. They're below our faces. And we'll see you guys here 30 minutes before the next game tomorrow. See you then.